Texas women's basketball is fighting for a Final Four berth after defeating the Lady Vols. Texas baseball is dominant once again after sweeping Missouri over the weekend. And finally, Texas softball has a shocking walk-off loss. Secures another series victory in Starkville this weekend. That's how they wrap up their weekend. All this and more on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome back into College Press Box. I'm Robert Gonsoulin, hosting with Campbell Choate tonight. Before we get started, we want to remind you that College Press Box is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between, so plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. Well, it was another impressive March Madness performance for Texas women's basketball over the weekend, who are now Elite 8 bound. The team is currently duking it out with historic Texas rival TCU as we speak. For now, let's see how the Longhorns got here and punched their ticket to the Elite 8. Beginning their Sweet 16 matchup on Saturday, the Longhorns had another series game against Tennessee, and starting things off, here's Talaysia Cooper draining a three to begin the game and putting the Vols on top first. Then, fast forward a few minutes later, here's Madison Booker with a baseline jumper from the side. Look at her get that shot in a very hard spot on the court. And then, here is Jordan Lee going and knocking down a three. The Longhorns would go on a 13-0 run to finish out the first quarter as Jordan Lee puts it in right there. And then, here we have Madison Booker showing her physicality on the court. Longhorns go up by 8 in the first quarter. But then here is making contact at the line right there. And then the Vols putting up another three to make it go. They tie the game. And then using the glass at the perfect spot, the Vols would only tie it once more. And then Texas, there is Jordan Lee once again draining a three. Tennessee, however, would score their next 9 straight points, all off three-pointers, including a deep one right here. And then this one would put the Vols only down behind 2 midway through the third quarter. And then Texas really needing some momentum shift right here. Loses the ball as Spearman puts it up right off the glass, and Tennessee ties it once more. Fourth quarter, tied at 50. Tennessee takes the lead off of a mid-range drive right there, and Breonna Preston steals it to give Texas the momentum back once again, and the Longhorns would go on another run. Take another angle of Preston's fast break drive right here, taking the ball, and then Madison Booker calls her own ISO baseline jumper. It's good. And then here's Jordan Lee off the bench, gets the tough shot to fall. Let's get another angle at this one right here. Working in the paint, gets the lucky bounce off the rim, and then Rory Harmon, the Hail Mary play down to Taylor Jones for the easy layup. That's going to be good. The Longhorns would go on to win 67-59 over SEC rival Tennessee and sweeping that opponent in the Battle of the UTs this season and advancing to the Elite 8 for the second consecutive season to face off against Haley Van Lith and TCU. Now, let's go on to Campbell Choate for the first time tonight. Campbell, she's going to analyze the game with Raymond Gorvie, who has more to say on the SEC matchup that took place this past weekend in the Sweet 16. Campbell, take it away.
Thanks, Robert. I'm here with Raymond Gorvie, returning to Press Box. Thank you for being here today, Ray.
Hey, nice to be back here on Press Box talking women's basketball.
Yeah, so Texas defeated fellow conference foe, the Tennessee Volunteers, to advance to the Elite 8. Bit of a nail-biter of a third quarter, but what key factors led to the Longhorns' victory on Saturday?
I would like to start off with the transition play. When we got out with that three-guard lineup, especially with Jordan Lee, Rory Harmon, and Breonna Preston, especially in the second half and the fourth quarter, we were able to get out and run. And that's the best. When Texas, we're doing that, it leads to a lot of victories. We're one of the best transition offenses in the nation this past season. And also the second half defense. Also with the getting behind because with Tennessee making those plays, getting the threes, especially in the last 5 minutes, the Longhorns continued to lock down, and that led to a nice victory against the Lady Volunteers.
Vic Schaefer went to a 4-guard lineup during the final stretch of Saturday's game. This is something that we've seen more of from Texas recently, but do you think this strategy will help Texas win the national championship?
I mean, yes, against teams like TCU, who they're playing tonight, what we saw on Saturday against the Lady Volunteers, we need to be able to get out and guard the three-point line, especially during our first matchup against William Mary's. Although we won by 50, the key indicator in that game was the amount of threes that they made. So Vic came with a second-half adjustment, going to that 4-guard lineup as soon as the Tennessee started getting back, making 4 threes in a row. And then we were able to spread ourselves, be able to spread our offense, lead to transition, and go out and get ahead of them and force them to turn the ball over, and we won the victory.
Vic Schaefer has led the Longhorns to 4 out of 5 Elite Eights in his seasons in Austin, but they're now in the Elite Eight again. What can they do to move over that hurdle and make it to the Final Four?
Yes, the first thing that Texas needs to improve on is the second half turnovers, especially against top competition. Recently, we saw in the LSU and the SEC champion tournament, and also with the Lady Volunteers this past Saturday. Texas' second half turnovers led to those the Lady Volunteers and LSU when we played them in the tournament to get back into those games late. So if Texas can limit those and also rebound, because we did get out rebounded by the Lady Volunteers on Saturday, we have too much size. We have too much size to not be getting out rebounded, especially against the teams like South Carolina. If we win tonight to go in the Final Four, rebounding and limiting the second half turnovers would be a key indicator.
Thank you for joining us again, Ray. Back to you at the desk, Robert.
Great analysis, Ray. When we return to College Press Box, Texas baseball looked to keep up their winning streak traveling to Columbia this past weekend, and we'll see how they did against those Tigers.
Welcome back to College Press Box. I'm Campbell Choate. Last weekend, Texas baseball had their first signature series win of the season against LSU, followed by a midweek victory against UTSA. And now Texas has looked to keep their streak rolling on the road against the Missouri Tigers. As winners of the first 2 games in the series, let's see how the finale went down. Number 7 Texas baseball traveled to Columbia, Missouri to play the 9-17 Mizzou team. Longhorns headed into Game 3 with the series already secured, winning 15-4 in Game 1 and 7-4 in Game 2 with Ruger Riojas on the mound. Top of the second, no one on. Casey Borba hits a solo shot to left center. Longhorns go up 1-0. Borba led Game 3 with 2 hits and finished the series with 4 overall. Then going into the top of the 4th, runner on first, Campbell Schuessler up to bat, hits a 2-run homer to left, putting the Longhorns up now 5-0. That was Schuessler's first home run of the season. Now later on in the 4th, this is going to be an interesting play here. There's 2 outs with bases loaded. Tommy Farmer hits a grounder back to the pitcher, but Mizzou pitcher Ben Smith throws in the base path. Farmer is safe and 2 runs score to put the Longhorns up 7-0. Now the Tigers would only put up 1 run in the 8th, and that's all the credit due to Ruger Riojas, who had a career-long 7-inning shutout. Riojas finished with a career high of 10 strikeouts and held the Tigers to 2 hits and no walks, and he was named the SEC Pitcher of the Week. A great series victory for Coach Schloss and the crew. Again, for more analysis, let's go back to Robert.
Thanks, Campbell. I'm here with Abby Saenz to talk more Texas baseball. Abby, thanks for being on today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back on air and talk about Texas baseball.
Yeah, so in the last 6 games, Texas has won by 3 or more runs. How do you think their batting possessions each game have really changed their trajectory during each inning?
Yeah, that's a great question, Robert. The Longhorns have been dominant on the field the last 6 games. I think it's safe to say that their 2 losses in a row to UTSA and LSU did not shift their focus. When at the plate, Texas's hit numbers have been in double digits 5 games in a row. Sophomore Ethan Mendoza leads the team with an overall season batting percentage of 39.2%. During the series against Missouri, sophomore Will Gasparino was not shy about hitting those balls out of the park. During Game 1, Gasparino hit 2 homers to left and center field during the 4th and 5th inning, and he did not stop there. During Game 2, Gasparino hit 2 more home runs, bringing his total for the series to 4. During the game, it's all about gaining confidence, keeping up the momentum, and keeping an eye on the ball, in which that's exactly what Texas does.
Yeah, so the Longhorns, they've held their opponents to 4 runs or less during the last 5 games. So what does that say about their field coverage?
Yeah, absolutely. Texas is not only dominating on the field during batting possessions, but also securing outs during field coverage. To keep the SEC teams such as Missouri, LSU, and Mississippi State to 4 points or under during some games does not come easy. Outfielder Will Gasparino leads the Longhorns with 51 catches and 50 putouts this season. Cole Chamberlain has also been keeping his eye on the ball in the outfield, with Tommy Framer IV getting those short hits within the infield. Coach Schlossnagle expressed the importance of being able to get the job done on both sides of the field, and that's exactly what the team is doing.
Yeah, and the SEC is one of the best college baseball conferences in all of Division I this year, so the more players that you can have to help out your field coverage, the better off Texas will be. So, what do you think Texas's biggest challenge will be facing Texas State tomorrow in Georgia this weekend?
Yeah, the players have expressed multiple times that it does not matter who they are facing. It's how they play together as a team at the end of the day. The Bobcats have been struggling on the road with a record of 2-6 and are led in hits by Ryan Farber, totaling him at 31 this season. In the field coverage, the Bobcats are led by graduate student Cameron Thompson. Looking ahead to this weekend, Texas hosts the Texas-Georgia series on Friday. Playing the number 2 SEC-ranked team, the Longhorns will need to stop Georgia's numbers and hitting percentages and be able to continue their coverage throughout the field. With both teams similar in stats, it's going to be a good series to watch this weekend.
Well, Abby, thanks for coming on. I'll send it back to you and Campbell at the desk, and we'll see how Texas pans out in their series against Georgia this weekend, and they have Texas State tomorrow. Campbell, take it away.
Thanks from you both. When College Press Box returns, we'll talk about number 1 Texas softball series against Mississippi State in Starkville. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into College Press Box. This past weekend, number 1 Texas softball defeated Mississippi State on the road. After a surprising opening loss to the Bulldogs, the Longhorns look to clinch the series on the Sunday finale. Let's take a look at how yesterday's game went down. Starting things off, we have Caden Henry tripling to center field. That's going to knock in the first run as Ashton Maloney's going to score, making the score 1-0. And then here's Tegan Cavan striking out the side and ending the inning right here. And then bring it to the top of the 5th inning now. Here is Caden Henry once again hitting it into right center field. That's going to score and bring in Ashton Maloney once again. And then Mia Scott now, she'll be up at the plate next, as we'll see here. Taking it down the left field line, that's going to bring in Caden Henry herself. And then 2 straight hitters, 2 straight runs. The train won't stop there, however, as Jolie Mitchell will homer into left center field. That one's going to be gone. And the Longhorns would go up 6-0 in the top of the 5th. And here's Silali Gutierrez striking out the Mississippi State batter to end the game. And the Longhorns would go on to win the series finale against Mississippi State 7-2. Another dominant showing from Coach Mike White's team. To talk more about Texas softball, let's go to Campbell with a very special guest.
Thanks again, Robert. I'm here with one of our TSTV sports reporters, Grabiel Silva. How are you doing today, Grabiel?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Ready to talk some softball.
Alrighty, well, Texas softball traveled to Starkville this past weekend, but how did they do?
Well, this weekend there was some concerns about some bad weather in Starkville, and because of that, the teams agreed to play doubleheader on Friday and then the closing game on Sunday. In Game 1 of Friday's doubleheader, Texas went with their ace, Tegan Cavan, in the circle, and Cavan did what she does well. But the offense was stagnant early in Game 1. Texas was down 2-0 in the 6th inning, and when they were able to score 3 runs, and when they were finally able to score 3 runs in the top of the 6th, they would take a 3-2 lead. Mississippi State would then score again thanks to a Texas error, and they tied the game at 3 heading into the 7th inning. Then, in the bottom of the 7th inning, Mississippi State walked off the Longhorns with a double down the line, which scored a runner from first. After a stunning loss in Game 1, Texas had to rebound quickly with Game 2 on deck later that same day. In Game 2, Texas again found themselves down 3-0 late into the game. They would cut into the lead to make it 3-2 heading into the 7th inning. And with 1 out in the 7th inning, Jolie Mitchell launched the game-tying home run to make it a 3-3 game. And afterwards, Texas would blow the game open, especially thanks to a Mia Scott 3-run home run to make it 7-3. And Texas would go on to win the game and even the series on Friday before the rubber match on Sunday. On Sunday, Texas's offense finally awakened early in the game. They were up 2-0 early, and they scored 4 runs in the 5th inning and 1 more in the 7th to go up 7-0. Tegan Cavan was dealing again on Sunday before she was taken out for freshman pitcher Cambria Salmon, and she struggled a little bit in the circle before Citlali Gutierrez was able to get out of a bases-loaded jam in the bottom of the 7th to give Texas a 7-2 win and yet another SEC series win on the road.
Yeah, first multi-run home run for Mia Scott, but what has made Texas softball so successful this far into the season?
Yeah, well, the big thing is this explosive Texas offense. They've won a game via the run rule 16 times, I believe, during their 34 wins during the season. They are able to get on base with their leadoff hitters like Ashton Maloney, Kaden Henry, and Mia Scott, and that gives the middle of the order, who's usually a combination of Reese Atwood, Katie Stewart, and Jolie Mitchell, a chance to drive in those who got on base. But up and down, this whole lineup can get on base and drive in runs. In the circle, Texas leans heavily on Tegan Cavan, and for good reason. The sophomore has been on fire to this point in the season and is building upon a stellar freshman campaign. But there is some question marks with the rest of the pitching staff. Mac Morgan has struggled recently in her recent outings. Citlali Gutierrez has only started in 6 games this year, which is considerably less than how many she started a year ago. Cambria Salmon is still only a freshman, and as we saw against Mississippi State on Sunday, she struggles as well. With teams like Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma looming, Coach Mike White is going to have to figure out who to look to in the circle instead of Cavan as the season starts to get more competitive.
Yeah, it seems like the start of this season has kind of been, it takes a minute for the offense to get a little hot, but what can we look forward to in the rest of the softball season?
Well, Campbell, like I mentioned earlier, Texas is getting ready to face some real competition in the SEC. After a 3-game series later this week against Missouri, Texas would have to take on Tennessee and LSU at home and then travel to the 4-time defending national champion Oklahoma Sooners. That's 3 top 10 series for the Texas softball team in just a 3-week stretch. That is going to be a tough stretch for the softball team, and if they are able to get out of it relatively unscathed, they'll be a team to watch in the postseason. This team could be a legit contender for a national championship, and these next few weeks are going to be an indicator on if they can really win it all or if they have some competition on the way there.
Yeah, well, I mean, pressure makes diamonds. So thanks for joining us, Grabiel. Back to you at the desk, Robert.
Thanks, Grabiel and Campbell, for that insightful analysis. When we return to College Press Box, we'll take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports and see what's ahead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into College Press Box. Let's take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports. Starting off, Texas men's swimming and diving had a very successful weekend as they won their 16th NCAA title in program history. It was first-year head coach Bob Bowman's second overall championship win of his career and his first at UT. The team finished with a total of 490 points with the help of a few record-setting performances. Hubert Coast broke the NCAA record for the 100 and 200-yard backstrokes with respective times of 43.20 seconds and a minute and 34.21 seconds. Meanwhile, Luke Hobson set a new NCAA record in the 200-yard freestyle with a time of a minute and 28.33 seconds.
Texas Relays wrapped up this Sunday after 4 days of events ranging from invitational races featuring U.S. Olympic stars like Gabby Thomas and Messiah Russell and athletes across NCAA programs. Ava Jess was crowned the 5,000-meter champion on day 2 with a time of 15:57.92. Longhorns claimed 6 event wins on day 3 with a 14-year program record falling on behalf of Kendrick Smallwood in the 110-meter hurdles. The winning time was 13:35. Texas won 3 more events on the final day, winning the women's 100-meter, men's 110-meter hurdles, and women's shot put.
On Sunday, men's tennis defeated South Carolina 4-0 on what was senior day in the final regular season homestand for the Longhorns. The team's only senior, Pierre-Yves Bailey, had a successful day with 6-4 win in doubles and 6-1 and 6-2 wins in singles. Timo Legout and Lucas Brown also contributed for Texas by winning their own singles match and then teaming up for a doubles victory that ended in 6-4. Now let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. Starting off on Friday, softball will go back to Columbia to play Missouri. That will be at 6 p.m. on the SEC Network Plus. Meanwhile, baseball opens up their home stand against Georgia at 6:30, also on the SEC Network Plus. And then on Saturday, baseball has their second game against Georgia, and softball their second game against Missouri. That's all going to be on the SEC Network Plus. And then Sunday, softball is going to get a nationally televised game against Missouri at noon on ESPN2, and baseball wraps up their series against Georgia on the SEC Network Plus.
And that will conclude this week's edition of College Press Box. Please make sure to tune into our other sports shows, such as College Crossfire on Wednesdays, airing at 9, and the Want to Know Sports Shows on Fridays at 11 now. Also, we invite you to follow our coverage on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube at the handle TSTV Sports. Thank you to our analysts, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer, Joseph Duffy, and all the reporters in TSTV Sports. I'm Campbell Choate. He's Robert Gonsoulin. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.